Hey guys, welcome on another episode of Appetite for Collectibles. On today's episode, we have the pleasure of speaking to Rob White from the Skeleton Crew. What's going on, Rob?
Hey everybody, how you doing? This is honestly, I think one of the coolest, ideas, thoughts, things. We've connected last week, and I just love talking to you. This is actually, I think, take two for us. Lovely audio, but I feel like
My
this is
dog
going to
ate
be
our mic.
they were so hungry,
Happened.
and that's just this is stuff what happens. Cute little pets.
So you are now you used to live in Florida. You're in
Mhm.
California now. What part of California are you in?
So I'm in Valley Village area. Basically, if you were to look at the Hollywood sign, I'm on the other side of the hill, as they'd say. Uh, but I originated in northern Michigan, in a little town called Mount Pleasant, Michigan, where the only thing that's there is a college, a casino, and a couple of lakes. Yep.
I hear that name
And
and I think like Pleasantville.
you have no idea, kind of, for the most part. I mean, you've one corner of the street that's got the mail service, and then the other side of the street's got the church, and the other one's got the bar.
Oh wow. How many
Yeah.
people live in that town?
Oof. I mean, if I were to guess off the top of my head, maybe it's mostly farming country for the most part.
Oh
So very
wow.
sporadic. So like where I grew up at, my next door neighbors actually, when I recently visited, they called it the Wademan Hamptons. And I went, there's only like 5 houses here. What are you talking about? They're like, well, it's just kind of a joke. And I'm going, oh, okay. Now I get what you're saying. Because I'm like, this is out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what you're saying.
That's actually
But
kind of funny.
yeah, but yeah, I grew up there, and then I took a leap of faith. I was actually working on a pumpkin farm when I was in high school, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, do you want to sign up for a college internship in Orlando?" And I went, uh, Florida. That sounds awesome because it sounds warm. Because 6 months out of the year in Orlando or in Michigan is just frozen tundra. It's worse than a dead tauntaun and trying to stick your friend in there and think it's gonna smell okay. Um, but with that being said, I was like, yeah, I would love to just I'll try that. I'll try that. So I signed up. I got through this internship at the Walt Disney Company. I did a college program. And from there, I started out in their custodial work, and I started watching some of the shows where I was at. Where they placed me at for my work internship was in Adventureland, and I remember watching the pirate tutorial and thinking, "Oh, I could do that. That looks like fun. How does that person get that job?" I'm 19, 20 at the time, don't really know much going on in the world of what I want to do for a living. So it's like, let's try and pursue, let's see what happens. So I one day decided to go talk to the performer who was performing as Jack Sparrow at the time. And he said, I sat talking to him. Mind you, it's August and it's 90 degrees in Florida, and he's in a full costume. Knowing what I know now, this person is a saint for doing what he did. He sat there for about a half an hour explaining to me how the audition process happened at the Walt Disney Company. And I went, okay, cool. So then I started to watch some things, watch some movements. I really wanted to do what he was doing because I thought, what would be more fun than playing a drunken pirate, you know? So I thought, well, let me try it. So I started auditioning, started doing things like that. The pirate never worked out, sadly, but I then auditioned for the character department that was there, and I got into the character department. Through that process, I ended up doing Star Wars Weekends events as Boba Fett for from 2008 to about 2012.
How hot
Throughout,
was that costume in Florida?
so I
Oh,
don't. It's at this point I remember taking off the helmet, and during a break period time, I'd set it down, and there'd be steam coming off the top of the head. Yeah. But at the same time, when you get those calls and those things, when you grow up watching Star Wars, you go, I'm going to go play Boba Fett. Who cares if I'm going to fry my brain cells? You know? Um, and that was an interesting time of my life because it was my first big gig that I had ever done in my life. So I really kind of took it very seriously with doing things. I got the fortunate time period to do a cavalcade with Jeremy Bullock for Disney's parade that they were doing, and I got to at one point um, uh, have Jeremy talk to me in Boba Fett and explain to me how he held the gun and how he felt the way or how he interpreted Boba Fett. And it was
So
and
basically,
from
the mannerisms.
mannerisms
Okay.
and the funny thing was I remember him being like he's a lot like Clint Eastwood. He doesn't move unless he needs to. And the interesting thing was after I chatted with him, all the Disney folk came over to me and goes, "What did Jeremy tell you?" And it was like, "Wow, I just got like this nugget from the man, you know." Um, and then I got to do a couple more events. I helped open up Star Tours. I believe I sent you a photo of that one. Uh,
Yes.
that one has Bob Iger in it. It's got George Lucas and Anthony Daniels in it. And if you see the Boba Fett that's in there, that's me that was in that. And they actually took another photo with that, which was I was sad that that one didn't come out. They moved the character that was next to me away and had Daniel Logan sit next to me. And it was the first time I remember meeting him too. And he goes, "Hey mate, do you think I could hold the gun?" And I handed it to him, and he goes, "Boy, this is really heavy." Because at the time they were just kind of building stuff with what they had. And I remember when I would get done with some of those events, and my right arm would be stronger than my left arm because whichever way you're holding the gun up in the air while you're walking, it's just repetitive motions.
Yeah.
So it's like whoa, I got one gun that's bigger than the next gun. What's going on here?
By the way, that Daniel Logan impression was actually kind of funny. He's a really
Oh,
nice guy. I've
thanks.
met him multiple times.
I was actually I remember one fun thing doing with him. I remember he was it was his 21st birthday, and like they wanted us to do like a thing where they handed him a cake on his birthday as Boba Fett and Django, and I just thought that was one of the things. Just, you don't forget that kind of stuff. It's like here, dude. It's like here's your 21st birthday, and I've watched you since I was a kid, giving you your thing, and I'm about the same age as him anyway. So it was kind of
Yeah.
that was kind of cool. Um, but for that, in between those time periods, I was learning through their parks uh, uh, puppeteering. They put me through a 2-week course of a workshop that trained me how to basically move things, the inanimate objects, in time and space to make a story. Um, and then from there, you kind of got picked to do other shows around the theme parks. I moved on over into the Lion King show. So if you've ever been to Disney's Animal Kingdom, I worked there for about 4 or 5 years. And then I got picked to do the Little Mermaid show. Not this version of it now; it just got closed and brought back. And then I did the Jedi Training Academy, which was where there were stormtroopers that come out with Darth Vader, and they train the little kids to fight Darth Vader. Um, but in between those times, I was also doing horror nights over at Universal Studios and a couple other little shows there. I was the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. So um, for those creature guys that you've had on your show, I can lament with them for being sitting 45 minutes and not being able to move my face or my body. Um, yeah, so pretty much when that kind of stuff kind of came to fruition, I through the Star Wars events that I was doing, I met some of the guys who were running R2D2, who I also had a contract for Push a Talking Trash Can, and I got a chance to audition for that. I then pretty much moved over into doing Push for the most part full time. Um, which Push, if you've ever seen him, again, he's a little tiny trash can who's 3 years old and made fun of kids and adults for a living.
So you were inside the trash can.
No, not inside the
Okay.
trash can. Not inside the
I was
trash can.
like,
I'm 6 foot
that would
tall.
be terrible. Yeah, I was like,
Um,
how could you get in there? I know that you've like crammed for other stuff, but
yeah. I mean, usually with puppeteering, you are cramming yourself into a lot of different places or in the most amount of way that you cannot be seen at all, which I will get into because we have skeleton crew fun stuff to talk about, which is another thing about like being crammed in a very small space to be able to make something magical happen. No, that happened to do with on a he was a robotic character that we would kind of just be in a crowd and make sure that everything kind of went smoothly for the show. Um, After that, moved on to I was a resident DJ in Orlando for around about 12 years. I did everything from dance parties to weddings to working at Universal Studios to emceeing for Progressive Insurance. So most of my life has been very live, interactive entertainment. Um, and I had this bug from my sister because she had been wanting to be a screenwriter since she was 6. And her being a screenwriter made me want to do what I was doing in live entertainment over into film and television. Um, and that was kind of a pastime growing up, was watching movies. I mean, we go get like the rentals and go around garage sales for 5 cents and get, however many movies titles that we could. And I just remember that being like, that's the next medium I really wanted to go to or had wanted to be in it for a really long time. Um, and at the time, I got an agent in Orlando, so I was doing some commercials here and there. A lot of local, like, Florida, kind of like Ale House, Beef O'Brady's. I was in a Beef O'Brady's commercial, if you remember Beef O'Brady's.
oh my
Um,
gosh, yes, I
yeah,
do.
yes. There you go. And then I've done some things for Publix before, and then like a bunch of print ads, etc. Um, After that, I was like, I really wanted to do characters and narrative stories because that's really more where my passion was in this instead of doing the bread and butter was in that was commercial work, but I really wanted to do narratives. And I switched over to doing narratives, as in Atlanta was kind of taking off at the time. And I was like, well, I need to go get an agent up there because a lot of the stuff from West Coast is now moving over to East Coast because of tax incentives. And there wasn't a whole lot going on in Florida for a ton of feature films. So I wanted to go where the action was. And I got an agent up in Atlanta, and I booked a television reenactment show called Swamp Murders on Discovery Channel. I played a murderous bartender, and that was the most amount of work that I've ever done acting
Oh
at the
wow.
time. The script was 45 minutes, and I had 20 pages of dialogue, and I was there for 4 days of shooting. And 4 days of shooting is 12-hour days. And I was pretty much on set every single, like, other than breaking for lunches and stuff, I was there for a really big portion of the time. My first day of shooting, though, is this silly scene. I think it's silly because when I was there, of course, movie magic of what happens. The scene was the character that I was playing takes this female character and is letting the female character go into this water and basically dumping the body. And it was an Atlanta lake area, and I don't know if you know anything about Atlanta lakes, but there are
Mm-hmm.
snakes. There are all types of things that are inside this water. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. They have lit this whole thing. They gave me waders so that I could walk out in the muck and have, just a regular shirt. So I'm putting this person out into the water. And I remember going with the actress and sinking into the ground while she's sitting on my knee in the water, and they're shooting from the dock down. And we did take one, great. Did the action we were supposed to do. Take two, I said stop, and they're like, "Why?" I said, to the actress, I said, "Please don't move your head." There was a snake that swam behind her head, and I had to call it. And I went, I can never forget that because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. We're inside of a mucky area, and you've got this massive snake coming behind us. Um, Lovely learning on film sets for the first time on non-union shoots. I had seen the guy go around and check the area beforehand, but again, you're shooting out in a weird, wild area, and there's snakes there. Um,
Ugh.
yeah, but that being said, when it got finished, it was like, wow, this is really what I like doing. This was fun. The work was hard, but the outcome is, whoever watches that style of show gets to do what I love when I was growing up was turn my brain off and have fun.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think cinema does for people. It takes you someplace. It goes into an area where you're like, this is something I've never seen before, and I want to go on a journey with whatever's going on in this story. Um, but from there, I ended up doing another makeup esque thing. I ended up getting on The Walking Dead, where I was one of the featured extras for uh, the episode 5 season 5 episode 4. It was called Slab Town. But I got shot in the head by the Beth character. But it's only a minute worth of film of what it was of what was shown on television. Again, 12-hour day, at least an hour. It's in the makeup chair and head to toe makeup from etc. to etc. From one end to the other. But one of my favorite stories about that thing, I remember very vividly being told by Greg Nicotero, who is like, come on, he's the man. Like, you've got, like, how cool is that? You get an opportunity to go work with this guy. You're like, yeah, any time of the week. Yes, please. Um, I remember walking in full zombie makeup in this shoot, and he called cut, and he goes, "Hey, you," and he was referring to me. He goes, "You're walking too much like Frankenstein." And I went, uh, okay. He goes, "Come here. This is what I want you to do. I want you to act like you've had the worst night of your life and you crapped your pants. That's how I want you to walk." And I went, okay. So you do it. And then after that, I heard no other direction after that. So when you do get to see the scene, it is about, it's under a minute slow-mo scene, but just know that zombie had the worst night of his life and he crapped his pants.
What season was this?
I want to say it's season 5, episode 4. I know the name of it. It's called Slab Town.
Season
Um,
5, episode 4,
yes,
Slaptown. I'm
Slab
gonna
Town.
find this and I wanna
Yeah,
envision in my head what it's like to crap your pants and then have to walk.
and have to walk, and
Yes.
and and that is what you get from the great Greg Nicotero. Uh, from and then kind of from there, from my career, because I had done these puppets for Disney and puppets for things. I When I moved to Los Angeles, because I wanted to pursue um, more film and television, because I got these two little bugs in Atlanta. My sister goes, "Well, why don't you come try it out here? Like, if you really like it here, this is where, it's a lot, basically saying it's a lot harder, but this is going to be a lot. There'll be um, more options, more plethora for you to do."
Yeah.
So I moved out here and kind of did the same jam what I was doing in Orlando of going back, doing some of the Universal things, and doing some of the events. One of my good friends, I think you've had him on here before, Gordon Tarpley, had also done the move from Florida to California, and he was kind of in the same cruise that I ran with too. And there was, it's kind of looking for a representative around this period of time, and the things that I had done in Orlando kind of got the eyes of a bunch of other people that were in the same kind of communities just on the West Coast. And I get invited to what's called R2LA from Gordon and my friend Mike Senna and William Miyamoto, and basically these guys invited me into their place, and basically they have this big party. It's kind of like this big con for R2 Builders Club. And if you've ever been to any type of convention, you probably have seen the R2 Builders Club, because if there's just a bunch of R2D2s in one little area, that's those guys. These guys, and they were like, hey, we know your skills, we know your stuff. We don't necessarily have anything for you right now, but maybe in the future we might have something. And I was like, oh, awesome. That would be super cool. And then basically, I'd say a couple 6 months later, it was about the time period of right before we did shoot Skeleton Crew. I got a phone call saying, hey man, we would like to, it was my friend Mike Senna, and he says, hey, I've got a gig for you on this show. Are you interested? And I'm like, what show? And he goes, well, are you interested? So basically, come to find out, it was Skeleton Crew. And I said, yeah, let's do this. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Yeah. He goes, well, I think that you have the skills to do what we need to do with this robot. And I was like, okay. So long story short, go to Mike's house. We train on how to do this this puppet. And knowing that, like, when you watch this scene, it's maybe less than a minute of a scene, but you've got 3 puppeteers running this puppet to make it come to life. And the puppet I'm referring to is the RX droid, which is what got me on Skeleton Crew. It's so cool. But the bus driver droid is operated by 3 people. And when we got on set, we had to set up the robot, and then get kind of choreography down, because in the scene there's over 50 kids and then the 2 main characters. So you've got Wim and you've got Neil in the back on their way to basically on their way to school. And what we ended up doing was bringing RX to life for the screen. And the neat part is how they enclose the entire bus, because that was full of practical. So if you can imagine this massive crane going through the front of a bus, to go through the bus before the RX is doing his motions, to then going around RX, to then going in and filming all the kids throughout the bus, to then get to our main characters that we're following to school.
So I actually watched that scene and I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like how you explained it to me. You actually see, like, it comes through the bus. You get RX. You see the little girl running behind him. Then you see it pan out. He turns, and then it goes in slow-mo to the kids. And you just see all the kids in a row. And then it zooms into Wim and Neil. And they're like discussing with each other. And then Wim's on his little, like iPad for Skeleton Crew and reading through his books. So the way you explained it to me, I love that I was able to find that scene on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I was able to visually, from hearing your voice to seeing that.
It's And when you watch that show, it's like the first 5 minutes of the movie, so or the show. So if you're like I want to see where that scene is, it's the first episode of Skeleton Crew. You watch maybe 5 minutes of it, you'll see exactly what scene I'm talking about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the neat part kind of on that was again, film setups take 12, you could be there for 12 hours for the day, and we only do, maybe, when you're called for your scene, it's a lot of hurry up and wait time, because we had to prep the robot, we had to get it set on time, we had to be where we're at, and then you have to coordinate the blocking with everybody. So like the blocking part of it is like, it may be only like maybe a 10 to 20-second clip of this. It's very fast, but we were talking about earlier, you were saying, hey, did you cram yourself into a trash can? No. However, I did cram myself into those little divot thingies. If you can imagine a bus being a divot as you walk into it, there's 3 grown adults in little divots in that shot. Now, when he's going ahead and he's moving his head, going, "Please remain seated while the bus is or the tram is in motion," uh, and you got the little girl pressing the bubble gum on the back of his head, and the head turns
Mm-hmm.
to reveal all the bubble gum, which, by the way, is the first time bubble gum has been in Star Wars. I just say that's really cool. But the head turns. When you get the head turn, that's when the camera comes in. So at that time, right when Rex is like going close, I'm not kidding you, that camera is like right here on his face, going across. So we had to move him as fast as that camera was going into place to get him out of the shot, to then to hit all these screaming kids, which I kind of wish they did a couple more insert shots of the kids, because when we were on set, there were all these little um, like science experiments, and they were Star Wars-esque science experiments that were super cool to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you just see the kids throwing stuff and things for creating habit, and then you get to our 2 mains that are in the back. But and that's kind of a fun thing, because even the bubble gum was something that happened on the fly. John Watts was the director that day, and he kind of comes up to us and goes, "What do you guys think of us putting bubble gum on the back of his head?" And all of us were like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome."
Yeah, because
And
it's a typical thing you do as a kid when you're on the
of
school
course,
bus. You're either
yeah,
like spitting spitballs, through the straws, you're
yeah.
putting gum, or you're giving a kid a wedgie, like just typical
Oh
kid
yeah,
stuff.
yes. If there was a toilet on there, somebody would get a swirly at some point, a
Oh yeah,
space swirly.
a
Uh,
space swirly.
A space swirly, yeah. But and, in between things was kind of neat too, because you know uh, it was neat to listen to John Watts be this like, I loved his take of Spider-Man No Way Home, so that was really cool to see his direction of what he wanted us to do, and it it was kind of a fun surreal moment later, um, when the show did come out, and um, we got invited to go go watch the show um, at the premiere, which was at the Captain EO theater at Disneyland, and that part was neat because there's so many, like, I'm a big Disney guy, so like there's so much in um, Skeleton Crew that has essences of Captain EO in it.
Mm-hmm.
Fuzzball's one of my favorite characters, minus Hooter, because I think if you've ever seen Captain EO, those are like the main 2 that I love. But when I saw Fuzzball on screen, I was like, "Oh my gosh, how cool is that? That they just threw that little tidbit in there of just being the '80s nostalgia, if you were really paying attention."
Oh,
Um,
they had so
but
many hidden Mickeys on that
oh
show. It
my,
wasn't even funny.
yeah, I think that's like the first Star Wars show that really did the, "Hey, do you remember this thing in the '80s, or do you remember this thing we used to do?" And they did it in a way that wasn't like it wasn't like over the top. It fit.
Yeah.
Every piece of those fit in the scenes that were like, "Oh, that's cool." I mean, even RX being in that tram was interesting for me because Star Tours being Captain Rex, and then now in the Galaxy's Edge stuff, you've got DJ Rex. So for me, that's kind of a nice uh, uh, like loop of being in the Paul Rubens legacy, of
Yeah.
stuff. Um, and fun fact for you, that robot has been repurposed in other shows. So if you relook at Book of Boba Fett or The Mandalorian, RX is a star. That's all I'm gonna say. So if you rewatch some of those, maybe there's just a different paint job. Um, but doing that into going to the premiere was super cool because I always wanted to be able to maybe potentially have a character that I did or performed be inside of a theme park at some point in my life. I thought always would be super cool to do. And then the neatest part was when I got to go with my team to go to this premiere. RX was one of the standees when you take photo ops to go into like the stand and repeat to go see the show. So it was like a nice little check mark of being like, oh my gosh, like the thing you got to do or be a part of is inside of it was in front of the Falcon at Galaxy's Edge to then
Mm-hmm.
going into the premiere to go see it at Captain EO was just like it was awesome. And the like another round robin thing was because it was so long between shooting and when they released the show. Um, John Watts was there. Dallas Bryce Howard was there. The whole skeleton crew was there to watch the show. I got a chance to go walk up to John Watts afterwards, and I actually had my piece of bubble gum with me, and I got to be like, hey, do you remember this piece of this bubble gum? And he's like, yeah. Do you think I could have that? And I went, in my head going, yeah. I'm like, I knew that I could get more pieces of bubble gum because I knew where they went. Um, but I gave him a piece of bubble gum, and it was in this like, it's very chewed up. I actually don't have it on me right now, but it was chewed up because they had to put it on the back like the kids did it, and we had to scrape that off. Part of the team scraped it off, and it's like, you have a piece of Star Wars with you. Uh, yeah, that was a pretty cool moment to have that being said. But yeah, um, that's that. Those were like some of the highlights of being around and involved with Skeleton Crew. There's another episode that we do that we were called in for the 8th episode because I did get credited for that one. They had RX blow up in the scene, but he's like blowing up in like 2 seconds.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, where it was kind of interesting because those are the kind of stuff that like they call you in for the day and you wait for something to happen, and it's like, you know, the neat part is going around and being like watching people do their different scenes before you get a chance to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like the stuff we got to watch before we got to do our part, uh, in episode 1, the kids are Katie and Fern are flying on their motorbikes or their little scooters with the tassels, and we got to watch them film that scene.
That's
Another
cool.
thing I got to watch was the Legacy Effects guys, which are, holy my gosh, they're mind blowing. Like those guys are insane. But they had all the little blue Neil babies, and I was just like sitting there as a puppeteer, going, "Oh my gosh, can I just get my hands on those just a little bit? I just want to play with one of them." But those were just kind of those weird surreal moments that when you go and be like you're a kid going, playing with these toys and learning how to puppeteer these things to get an opportunity like that to be on a show that's like, I think it's going to be one of those shows that's going to pop up where it'll be 5, 10 years from now and everybody goes, do you remember Skeleton Crew? And they're like, yeah, that was amazing. Because I haven't really, sometimes, not everything is so well received, and I think the fan base really liked this story.
It was an adventure story, so it was something like fresh, something we've never seen before, and I think a lot of people like our age and older, I think they appreciated this a lot because it just gave an essence of the Goonies, Hook, everybody's, every little kid's thoughts of like what an adventure would be like when they're little. So it was just
I
like
mean,
little minor
Treasure
things.
Island, for instance. I mean, if you really
Yes.
relate this whole thing and watch that, it's a lot like that. I don't know if I'm sure you probably have catched it, but I always love that SM33 is Smee.
Yes. It's all about like Hook. It's
Yeah, it's
all
all
about,
Hook,
yeah. He's
and that
Smee.
and then the Goonies portions of them that are great is like, Richard Donner spelled backwards is Talk Reynard.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the cool things that are like the little tidbits that go, oh, you just got to pay attention to it. It's so good. Um, yeah. So, and then the kind of things like that I moved on to between the time of Skeleton Crew. I booked a couple horror films. I have one on Tubi right now called Cannibal Comedian. I played a heckler into it. Did a couple shorts for Screenbox, one called Bellevue Bob, and another one coming out called Carver with Bill Moseley. Um, and then I just booked a movie that's supposed to be on Tubi Originals. It's called Baby Racer, and I play a kind of like it's Goodfellas meets Gran Turismo. So it'll be animated race scenes with live action.
Okay. That actually
Yeah.
sounds cool.
Oh, dude, I'm like, we had 12 days of shooting, and 6 of them were with Porsches. And there's one scene I got to drive a Ferrari California into a scene, and I was like, I can't break this thing. This is more than what I'm getting paid to be here. I ended up doing that. That comes out soon this year. And then something just came out a little bit ago that I got to help out with. It's called War Dogs. It's on BET. I get to work with Steve Wang and the group over at Onyx Studios. That was kind of surreal. I'm sure if you're friends or fans of Predator or Hellboy, you'll know who Steve Wang is.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the kindest souls I've met on a set. Um, but I was brought in to help bring his robotic Terminator to life. And actually, if you look at old pictures of the Terminator puppets in #1, it's kind of the same style of setup how he designed it. Um,
Okay.
but this movie has it's an all black cast. It's got Raven Simone in it. It's got Walter from Power Rangers. You've got Michael Beach. The cool thing on that one that was really neat was I got to be all harnessed into this to this puppet, and we were walking like a crab almost, but you had to like get the motion of that this puppet was heavy. So you're kind of like doing a your top half of your body is moving like a really heavy robot, but your legs are doing the crab walk. So you've got to do 3 things at once inside your head.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
yeah. Um, and there was one scene we did where we're chasing after the whole group that's running away. Um, and I remember Michael Beach busting the door, coming back after they called cut, and he screams out, "You one ugly motherfucker!" And I went, how cool is that? You're basically playing the Terminator in this thing, and he's the main protagonist. And it was like Steve Wang's right there, and I'm going, where am I at? And I go, I
Yeah.
know exactly where I'm supposed to be, right here, doing this thing right now. Yeah. And then a couple everything else that I'm kind of doing right now. I just finished up a movie with um, Anchor Bay. If you remember, though, then they did all the Wrong Turn films back in like
Yeah.
the 90s,
With
2000s.
Eliza Du with Eliza
Yes,
Dushku.
yeah, I love that name. I was like, say that 5 times fast. I wouldn't want to. Um, yeah, I did a part in that. It's called The Drop. At least that's what it was called right now. Who knows what it'll be? Kind of me in a nutshell with most of the puppets and acting stuff right now. Um, always trying to audition for more things and just kind of look for the next thing that's kind of interesting to me,
If
anyways.
you if your whole life was to just consist in just doing just puppeteering, would you be satisfied with that?
Absolutely. I think that mostly has been, I think most of my bread and butter for most of my life, anyways. I talked a little earlier about like kind of diversity of like finding the acting field, the DJ field, the puppeteer field. All those things are different hats and different skills. Puppeteering is something that like it's not something that I would wake up and be like, this is a job. You know what I mean? Because you're bringing something to life, and the neat
Yeah.
part about bringing anything to life is everything has a thought, it has a process, it has a thinking ability to be like, well, if this thing doesn't talk and this thing doesn't give a story out, but it still has thoughts, so it can tell a story. Like, I guess the best description I can go to is if you have a pet, a dog, a goldfish, doesn't matter. You can kind of see how that animal is speaking to you without saying a word.
Oh yeah, my dog does it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when your dog has to go to the bathroom, when your dog's happy, when your dog's sad, and they're just barking, notions. To being like a high pitched bark is different from a low pitched bark to a crying motion or a thought
Mhm.
process. That goes along even with like for Skeleton Crew of RX's head motion. We had to get very minute of what it was because the camera's so close, and then they add in the audio later. So they have to dub what he's doing with the head.
Oh wow.
Um, and then that kind of flip flops over into what I did with War Dogs when the puppet is on my body and you're moving it and it goes like this and the head goes moves one way to the other. Um, if you didn't move the head in a certain way, like a snap motion this way and then moving forward, it's the same thing as like what humans do. Is if you're going to look at a car before you cross a street, you're not going to just go like this. You're going to kind of look out and lean because you want to see what's farther down the road. Same
Mhm.
thing with a puppet. Um, the best way I can describe it is if you watch the Muppets and you see they're blinking, and you won't even realize it because the puppetry is so good. And if the puppetry is so good, they don't even have eye blinks, and it makes the feeling of an eye blink. Um, that right there, you're doing a service to the audience, because like it's all the way of the motion of whatever the puppet does. So like if once again I was talking about going with looking down the street. So if you're doing this and you go, that's not as dynamic. If you're looking down the street and you're kind of doing this and you go, and then the thing comes by and then you're following it all the way down. I just told you a full story of which way the car was going by my movement,
Yeah.
you know? So that's kind of a thing to where uh, if I was gonna do that kind of thing and think about what puppets were doing the rest of my life, fine by me. I would love that. You know, it's like it's and I really hope that the puppet medium still sticks around. I know we've got like a lot of stuff coming up with, AI and whatnot.
Yeah, but you know
But
what? To be quite honest with you, I've had this
hmm
conversation with so many other friends of mine.
hmm
I've seen remakes of films being
yeah,
done, and it was these films have originally been using puppets. Like for
yeah.
instance, Gremlins, all
Ah,
puppets, all puppets. Probably one of my favorite childhood movies of all times, Gremlin 1 and 2.
oof.
And those were all puppets. And they're discussing about remaking the films, and I'm hoping that it's not CGI because of the fact that I feel with puppets you get more of the mannerisms seem more real.
Yep.
They
Because it's a real
did
thing. Because
It's a
it's a
real
real thing
thing.
you're filming. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I get it, when they had to do the CGI version of Jabba the Hutt for Star Wars, it looks so fake. But when you're using
Yes.
the actual puppet, and even though the puppet had like four people inside of it and they're all moving different things, but it just seemed more real seeing that big thing being moved around by four different people as opposed to seeing the CGI, because you see all the pixelations and it just makes it look so fake. And that's one thing I'm hoping. And there's a big fan base out there right now that love Jim Henson. I feel like this generation's kids are huge fans of his,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that those kids can still keep his legacy around more, and it'll inspire more actors to want to use puppets and not use CGI, which I get it. CGI, you cut time in a half, you don't have to pay somebody to be a puppeteer. But at the same time, I would rather, if I was a director, I would rather have something look so real as opposed to using AI or CGI to, you know, make the process a lot faster.
I think I can also say with this for what you're saying is I would be sad if they made Gremlins 3 and it was CGI Gremlins.
Yes.
It just doesn't fit.
It does
It
not
doesn't fit the
fit.
tone of the entire thing. It's like changing Muppets around to being CGI Muppets. Nobody wants Kermit being in that form.
Yeah,
Um,
no. I want a
it's like
stringy
yes.
Kermit the Frog.
And I think that's where like for me, if that is uh, it's a craft of things, and I feel like that part of the craft. I think I think we're gonna have this nice little wave of yeah, some stuff's gonna be that, some stuff's gonna be that, but people are still gonna want the main special effects stuff.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be like how much do we get of that? Yeah.
I'm also thinking it's, whoever is directing has to be a little bit older and has to have respect for the craft as opposed to
Yeah.
like wanting to be, somebody younger and wants to cut time in a half and
hmm
wants everything to be done quicker. But yeah, I'm hoping, the next round of films that they're thinking about remaking and that they were original puppets, I hope they stick to the original puppets and that's it.
Well, that's even like Star Wars, for instance, though. I love what they've done with some of this stuff in some of these shows. I mean, if you watch the backgrounds in Skeleton Crew, like I said, there's little things in there that are like pop ups of what stuff was like back in the 70s when we were doing things, or, back just the little practical effects is what made this show so much fun you
Yeah.
know and then even with like you said gremlins being one of those things, it's just like if you don't have those things, what how can you make a style movie like that without it you know um
I agree.
but it's also with people, how do you I think people, the reason why we watch these things is because we want to see people go through a journey.
Mhm.
And I think that's where like um I talked earlier a little bit about the history of myself, of where I came from, etc. I think if my job in life is to help somebody, um, uh, like basically, I'd say turn off or go into a 2 hours of their own story following other characters. And if I'm helping puppeteer something to help that person, then in my head, I'm just as important as if, uh, somebody were to go to a doctor and be like, I need this thing. I hurt my foot. Well, I need to turn off for a little bit so I can focus and have a little bit of enjoyment of this story. I think the original idea behind sitting around a campfire is the same thing that what we have now. We just have it in our hands, yeah,
Yeah.
on a phone. Um, so, and it's like, these things are important. Um, so yeah, I would if I'm fortunate enough to do more puppet things, then absolutely I would be floored to have that be my everyday thing. Um, so any type of thing that's entertaining, whether it be live action, live shows, puppeteering, acting, DJing. I'm in that kind of. That's the fun part for me. Um, I think the hardest thing that a lot of people I don't think will understand of like um, being in an entertainment realm is um, being able to keep a consistent career with um, I guess what I'm trying to get to is like saying like um, in order to keep something constant, you have to be um, uh, generous, kind, be a good team player to people around you,
Yeah.
because people you don't want to go on set with somebody for 12 hours and work with somebody who's a pain in the butt. I mean, you're stuck with that person, and then they
All
become
day.
difficult all day, and I think that's the extra bit of being like, you don't know what somebody's going through until you actually like sit inside their shoes, or go with the fact of being like, how did you get to this point? Well, those scenes of Skeleton Crew were very minute, very small, but all this other stuff that happened to bring me up to that point was like that's where the the prepping, the doing the work and the classes and doing the um, getting everything together to make something happen at the end of the day, which is the main goal.
Yeah.
So, and there's been times where I've gone through these classes and things and been like, I don't want to do this ever again. I think we talked in the before about how I had an acting teacher that I was going through in Hollywood that basically told me, he says, you basically never make it in this business, and it was like, uh, well, it takes a little bit to go. That's just one person. That's just one person to knock you down. But in this kind of industry, you hear more no's than you will yes.
I don't take it
Thousand,
as in my opinion, I don't take it as knocking you down. I take it as that's
yeah.
like motivation for you to
Oof,
just do
oof.
even better.
Yeah. And that comes to my next point of that being when I worked at Lion King, I had a friend of mine who was a fire tosser, and he was very influential in my life for the fact of being uh, you're at work with somebody who you either look up to or you're interested in what they're doing. And I remember one day he's just having a bad day, and he came up to me and he says, Rob, I auditioned for this thing a little while ago, and I didn't get it. And he said, the best part or advice I've ever got from somebody was, don't tell me no, it only inspires me. And I remember him saying that and being like, that's kind of the thing that's kind of stuck with me. So it's like things may not always go your way in these realms of things, but yeah, that goes that goes for anything else in life of things. If that one person says no, there's got to be somebody out there that's going to say yes to you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't stop till you get enough.
How funny! I was gonna ask you, what advice would you give somebody, but I think you just nailed it.
There you go. There you go. I mean, that's just. I mean, and I hope that through entertainment, through what I'm doing, hopefully inspires somebody to do what I was inspired to do when I was a little kid, sitting inside of snowy Michigan, going, I can't go outside because I'm gonna be a frozen tauntaun. Um, and to me, that just goes, hey, if this was, I'm hoping for maybe more Star Wars. That would be so awesome. But if this is my one little fun thing that I got to do on Star Wars, then awesome. How cool is that? Like check mark, like sweet. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I love what I do. There's just like if you know that you're in a place where um you you know where you're supposed to be at that time. I've had a lot of pinch me moments in my life, and this has been thankfully one of them.
I
So
like that. I remember I did tell you I am gonna orchestrate the Skeleton Crew reunion on my channel.
I can't wait.
I'm getting a list prepared and I'm getting people and I'm gonna try to reach out to, like I told you, one of my friends that I know, Justin, who's one of the agents for the kids from Skeleton Crew. I think you have a photo with him.
I do. I luckily got to meet Justin at a con. I had met pretty much most of the kids, but Wim at events and things, and I if they were actually handing out posters at the event that we went to, and the cool thing for me was it felt like I was going up in myself as a fan to these people, but it felt like going into a bunch of colleagues and going, "Hey, can you just sign my yearbook?" basically.
Yeah.
And that was the only one that I didn't get a chance to get was Wim's, because I met everybody else, which was like, oh my gosh, pinch me moments. I don't know if I sent this to you, but I have a really cool photo with his name's Ford. He's one of the writer producers for the show, and it's me and him with RX in the cantina at Disneyland.
I think you did.
Yeah, and that night was super cool too. Even I got to I love Ron Howard movies, and I didn't get to work with Dallas on the show, but I did get to meet Dallas at the event, and uh, it was one of the coolest moments for me because one of my friends had already had worked with her, and he said, "Hey, this is Rob. He was one of the puppeteers on the show," and we got to talking about, oddly enough, more about her dad, and I thought it was really cool because I got to ask her. I was like, at one point, going, "Well, what's your favorite movie that your dad made?" She goes, "Cocoon," and I was like,
Oh, great
"I love
movie.
Cocoon," and she then asked me, she says, "What's your favorite?" And I said, "Well, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas changed my life." And that to me was just like, I don't know if I'll ever get to meet Ron Howard, but I got to meet Dallas, and it was a lovely thing. Also, I got to meet uh you know our good friend Captain Vance.
Yes.
Yes, what a
Marty.
lovely human, Marty. Um, and I can't wait to do I hope you have him on here because he's
Oh yeah,
wonderful.
I'm gonna text him and ask him. You spoke about Bryce Dallas Howard, so there's a
Yeah.
con here in Orlando called MegaCon, and she was in town,
Yes. Oh, I've
and I
been there a
got
couple times. It's so
and
awesome.
I got to meet her. So
Uh-huh.
the whole lineup was her dad, her husband, and her uncle.
Wow.
So while I'm talking to her, her husband came and joined. And then her
Wow.
husband like loved the plaques that I was getting signed, and they were talking to me and interacting, and we got to talk for like a solid good like 8 minutes. Her dad kept popping his head out of his tent, so I actually got to see like Ron Howard up close. I definitely wanted to get him to sign something for me, but his line was so long it wasn't even funny.
Yeah.
But
What a
she
treat to
is,
even just
yeah,
be
she's
around
the
those people.
nicest human being.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I actually, which was funny, what I got her to sign was I got her to sign a plaque that said directed an episode in the Ahsoka show.
Yeah. Yep.
And she was like, no one's ever brought me something to sign that's like for me directing. And I was like, well, I brought
Wow.
it. I said, you directed one of my favorite episodes, so I wanted you to sign the
Wow.
plaque.
Her episode is my favorite in Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal director. But you know what the thing is? It doesn't fall far from the tree.
Nope. And that's the thing is like, I mean, if we're going off of Star Wars stuff, I'm totally team Solo. I love that movie. It's a Ron Howard film.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about how, some things can be a little bit toxic, but I think Star Wars is for everybody. You get a little bit of every little flavor of ice cream that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever you like. And I'm totally team hunt for Ben Solo. Absolutely.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm up for that. Like, no one's really dead in Star Wars. Come on.
No. You can get
No.
cut in half. You can get thrown down a chute and you're still alive. If
Or
Palpatine survived,
get thrown into a Sarlacc pit and then come out later. Like,
yeah.
come on. I mean, these are the things. But yeah, so I have a question for you because we're talking Star
Mm-hmm.
Wars. Favorite Star Wars character because we didn't actually get on that.
I have two, and I can never pick between the two of them. It's going to be Darth Vader and
Okay.
Ahsoka.
Ah, I think Ahsoka is probably my favorite Jedi. Not Jedi,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Not
Jedi.
Jedi.
Not a Jedi. I actually when I started doing those events with R2 in Florida, they I did a lot of stuff with Ashley Eckstein and for promos for that. When I was talking about the Jeremy Bulloch stuff with Boba Fett,
Yeah.
they had Clone Wars stuff starting out. It was 2008, 2009 when the show came out, but they were promoting all of that stuff for the shows. So like we did a lot of shoots with Ashley and Tom Kane and James Arnold Taylor. So that was a really cool time to kind of watch this character of Ahsoka come out and kind of I love relating to that character so much because I see my growth through her, which is weird because
Yeah.
I've seen that character go from this little apprentice Padawan to going to these two TV shows and in my own way watching myself go and starting out with Ahsoka going through her stuff. I've done my own stuff in my own career to getting to the point of doing Skeleton Crew. So that's so cool that that's one of your favorites because she's always been one of mine.
Yeah, I actually had the luxury of her signing my leg and me getting it tattooed at the same event that she was at. And then I did one with
Ashley
Rosario
or Rosario? Oh, you
I have
both?
both of them.
Ah, that's what's up.
But Ashley's signature is more special to me. Not one, because she is the original Ahsoka, but two, because I actually went and got it certified by JSA. So it's a certified signature, and it was like the first one, like for that con.
Wow.
And it's got Ashley's name on it. And like Ashley and I, that day I got it done, she joked around and she was like, if something happens to you, she's like, you got to give me back the leg. She's like, it's my signature.
Yeah, it's her leg. It's her autograph.
Yeah, so I told her, I was like,
That's
it's
awesome.
your leg. Yeah, my friends, I didn't think my friends were filming the whole entire thing, but like my friends had like a special camera with like a boom and everything, and they were filming her signing, and if you know what Ashley's signature looks like, she does a
Yes.
really big
The huge
A.
A. Yep.
And yeah, she does two huge A's. So I like it takes up like this much of my leg, just her
Wow.
signature. And I got it next to the silhouette of Ahsoka's head. And then on the other side of my leg, I got the Ahsoka's lightsabers, and then Rosario signed that one. So I have
That's
both of
awesome.
them. I was originally gonna do all the Ahsokas, like I was gonna get Michelle Lee,
Yeah.
Lauren Mary Kim, but instead I started getting all their autographs on different plaques. So I'm
Okay.
just missing one more Ahsoka, which is Adrian. What is it? Adriana Greenfield, or
Is she the stunt girl?
no? The stunt girl was Risa Kellar,
Yes.
and Justin from the agent from Skeleton Crew. He helped
Yes.
me get that signature.
I was gonna say if you don't have that, we'll figure that one out because
Yeah, no, he
we're
helped.
6 degrees is Kevin Bacon with that one easily done.
Okay, yeah, no, he
Yeah,
helped me get her signature because
that's
he
awesome.
knew that was a rare one to get. But yeah, it's my favorite character. I absolutely love her. I watched Clone Wars when it first came out, and like most of the time, if you see stuff that I'm posting on my page, it's always Clone Wars reels. I'll do like little funny snippets, but it's always Clone Wars related.
And how cool was that scene fighting Darth Maul at being Ray Parks doing that whole yeah. That's actually the last time I watched that I can remember was at Celebration and they played the 3-part series of that on a huge
Mm-hmm.
screen and that was just so much fun.
Yeah,
That was so much fun. What a great episode. I love Dave
yeah.
Filoni. Dave
I love
Filoni, I
Dave
trust
Filoni.
you.
That's one of my top goals is to meet him one day.
That was something that I've felt fortunate to hear. I've met Dave a couple of times, and Dave loves Star Wars.
Yeah, he
Dave
does.
loves Star Wars. I think the coolest compliment actually. There's 2 times I've met Dave that I love to share before we end up doing all this stuff. But when I first played Boba Fett at Disney's Hollywood Studios, Dave was artist, just kind of going off of things, and I walked up to him in full Boba Fett, shook his hand, and said, "Thank you for keeping Star Wars Star Wars."
Yeah.
And I met Dave again at the premiere of Skeleton Crew, and I walked up to him and I said, "Do you remember years ago Boba Fett shaking your hand in Orlando, Florida, at Disney World?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "I'm going to shake your hand again," and I said, "Thank you for doing what you've done for other things." And he goes, "Wow, what a interesting world we live in." And I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of cool." Because it's like full circle moments of people who, influence you from here to there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Well, I hope you get to meet Dave because he loves
I
Star Wars.
Oh, I will probably cry. I met my idol, which was Mark Hamill, and I
Ah,
hysterically cried right afterwards. I kept my momentum together,
yeah.
and then as soon as we walked away, I turned into a 6-year-old and cried like a kid for over 40 minutes, and then the shock value like just dissipated.
Did you ever go to Celebration 5 at all?
Yes.
So I was very fortunate at the time because I was doing events with R2 at Celebration 5. The company I worked for at the time, we had a land speeder that would bring people onto the stage. I don't know if you remember the land speeder that was there.
Yeah, I do.
My job was actually to keep that land speeder in the back and make sure it moved.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I was actually in the back behind the stage for that whole event, and Jay Lagaya was the announcer. And I'd worked with Jay for Star Wars weekends before, and they were gearing up to do the day's warm ups. And Jay plays a lot of Bob Marley songs when we were working together
Mhm.
over in Star Wars events. And I walked up to him and I said, "Jay, do you mind playing Three Little Birds?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I think I don't know if I sent it to you. I'll make sure that you get it. But there's a picture of myself, Jay, and R2 on that land speeder after he did Three Little Birds on his guitar. But the flip flop to that, my Mark Hamill story goes before they did the Jon Stewart, Lucas, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher talk, I sat on the land speeder with R2 watching that show from the back. And before Carrie Fisher came on stage, she almost tripped in front of me. And that was the only time I've met Carrie Fisher.
That's wild.
And Mark Hamill came along with his kids. They had all of Carrie Fisher's family there. And Mark's kids were fighting with Carrie's kids with lightsabers. Or whoever was at their little entourage. So it was, I've been fortunate enough to say through events and things that I've done, the only person I haven't met is Harrison Ford in the main cast. So, yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, fun thing for you, I almost got there. I had an audition for 1923. And the scene that I was in that I got a call back for was Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford. And I was so sad I didn't get it, because that was the one thing that I was like, if I get this, I could say I've met the entire cast of Star Wars at this point. That was the main cast of New Hope. Which is like, are you kidding me? How cool would that been? But I sadly I didn't get it, but yeah, it was almost there. I was almost there. Listen, Taylor Sheridan, bring me on your shows, please. I'll take it. But yeah.
Well, this was, dude, like, I know that before we recorded and my audio was messed up, but this was probably more, I got more insight and more information.
Yo,
we did round 2.
I have to say, though, the last time when you gave me the compliment that you learned a lot from me about puppeteering over Tim Rose is like amazing to me.
No, it's true. Talking to you about puppeteering and then watching that snippet, like I said to you before, watching that snippet from Skeleton Crew and how you guys were explaining it. And, when you first watch it and if you don't know this information, you just see it like a quick robot just moving in film. But you explaining it to me the way that you did, I was listening. I literally had our conversation on my phone. I'm playing that episode on YouTube. And I'm listening to you explain that. And then I'm watching that snippet. And I'm like, holy crap, like the mechanics that go behind puppeteering and just like how every angle was shot, just how you explained it. You guys had to move his head really fast. The crane with the camera is coming really quick. You see the little girl, then you see the camera pan out. You see all the little kids doing all different things. And then as soon as they get to the main characters, it zooms right into them. It's like, and nobody knew that was going on in a small little tram.
And there's for every couple characters on screen, there's 100 people behind the camera.
Yeah. So that just opened up my eyes like a lot more when it comes to like, if I'm ever watching a show and I see little things like that, I'll just know like it's taking so many cameras to get that angle and so many people just maneuvering around to make sure that they get that shot accurate. So it's like I said to you before in our last recording, I love doing this style of interviewing because you get more of a descriptive detail of what goes on behind the scenes. And a lot of that stuff, like when you hear it and then you rewatch it again, it's just like mind blowing to me. Like even interviewing Tim Rose, like when he was talking to me about some of the stuff that he did with Akbar, I rewatch the films again and then I see Akbar and he's telling me these things and I'm like, holy crap, like this is amazing. So it's like any person I've ever interviewed, I go back and watch whatever scene they've been in or anything that they've done. And now I'm listening to it with the conversation that we've just had. So it just makes whatever I've seen 10 times better.
You get your own Blu-ray commentary from people who probably wouldn't even got the Blu-ray commentary.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I even, like you said, watching scenes like that, I remember listening to Tim Rose talk about that scene in Return of the Jedi when they're doing Salacious B. Crumb and Jabba the Hutt and all the characters come out from the darkness and Han Solo is getting out of carbonite and being held by Leia, and they're all making noise. And I remember him telling the story of he got fired and hired in the same day because
Yeah.
Harrison walked off set because he couldn't get his lines down, and they had to show Harrison that this guy was fired and this guy was hired. They didn't show the hire paperwork, but they showed the fire paperwork so he would come back on set. And it was
Yeah.
like, it's interesting, that goes down to saying, you can't necessarily fire Harrison Ford. He's your main character. But like a puppeteer would be like, see you later. But that being
Yeah.
said, you still have to have him. You can't
Yeah.
have Jabba's palace at this point without Sarlacious B. Crumb. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It's the same thing,
You said it. You nailed it.
Yeah. I mean that it's that's where I go back to be kind to everyone because you don't know where people are going to go. You have no clue.
Guys, the man said it himself. Be kind to people because you never know where you're going to go.
Nope.
Well, I know on Instagram we can follow you as the ROB WIGHT. Anywhere else we can find you? Is there Facebook or you just primarily on Instagram?
I mostly do Instagram for the most part. If you find me on Facebook, cool, but I don't necessarily do that unless it's family stuff. But
Same.
the ROB WIGHT, WIGHT is my Instagram handle. I like to do fun little videos and then just stuff that I'm doing. I love to travel. I love to talk. Connect. Let's chat. I love.
Well, I already said it. You come to Florida for hanging out.
I do. Oh my gosh.
Hanging out.
I can't wait to have Las Can't wait to have Las
Dude, we're gonna go. We're gonna hit up Las and then we're gonna go check out different rock bars.
I love it. That sounds like so much fun. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Awesome.
Well, guys, make sure to flood this man's Instagram page. Follow him. And you never know. I'm telling you, I'm going to get this done. We're going to have a Skeleton Crew reunion coming soon. I'm literally going to message all the guys. Probably after this weekend, I'm going to message everybody. And I'm going to just be like, hey, guys, we're having a Skeleton Crew reunion. Let's do it for this date. Whatever works for everybody. Because I know everybody mostly is on California time. But let's get this done. And I'm going to try to get like 8 people.
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
5 more. Yeah.
Yeah. The more the merrier. Life Day.
The more the merrier. Yeah, we'll do a life day of Skeleton Crew and I'll do it as a live stream. So we'll have like people interacting and just like having fun with you guys.
Awesome.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for joining me. I had such a great time. I'm glad that you were such a good sport in recording part 2 with me.
No problem. No problem. I did want to leave people with these parting words, though, if you don't mind. Are you ready?
The floor is all yours.
Beep boo, beep bop, beep boo boo, beep boo, bop bop bop, beep boo. Wow.
All right, guys. Have a good night.